Welcome to the Fleaflicker NFL show. That was a terrible intro, but we're going to stick with it. Carson Wentz just got traded, and I'm joined by two co-hosts this time. I'm your host, Umar, obviously, and obviously Amal's here too, and then my great friend, Rahul Raja, and he's another Eagles fan, so we Eagles fans outnumber Colts fans right now. But yeah, this is, I guess, the Carson Wentz emergency process.
Maybe not for long.
Maybe not for long. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm definitely going to consider converting to Coltsism. Yeah, Coltsism.
Well,
I think that
the Colts culture. It's the culture.
That's just so bad. But yeah, Carson Wentz got traded, and I'm sure Amal has the trade details. I think I might have the trade details too. But Carson Wentz got traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Indianapolis Colts. Hence why Amal's wearing his Colts jersey today, and I'm wearing my Carson Wentz jersey in honor of a fallen hero. Carson Wentz got traded for a conditional second-round pick and a third-round pick. Second-round pick can eventually become a first-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps or plays 70% and the Colts make the playoffs. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways of dissecting this trade. And I think I want to go to our guest host, Rahul, to start off with, because he has some interesting takes as an Eagles fan compared to me. And I want to hear what he thinks about this trade overall. Maybe just starting with, like, I don't know, just if you think this is a fair trade for both teams.
Well, I think it's absolutely unfair. I mean, obviously the Colts win by a lot. And I think this is all pretty much Howie Roseman's fault for, first of all, delaying the trade so long into the postseason and not making a commitment between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. But, I mean, it's the best of the situation. I don't think there's any other demand for Carson Wentz. So I'm confident in Jalen Hurts. So I think the future is bright. But, I mean, we should have been able to get at least the first-round pick for Carson Wentz. Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I think some people are talking about it as like every Eagles fan should be like ecstatic and overjoyed. I don't look at it that way. I look at what the Carson Wentz situation was. To me, was an organizational failure by Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie to succeed with a player who was once thought to be the MVP of the league. I mean, it was only 3 years ago, Amal and Rahul, where everyone was hugging around the trophy, the Super Bowl trophy. The Super Bowl parade had just happened. And I don't think anyone could be sitting here, and anyone then could have been like, you know what, 3 years from now, Super Bowl winning head coach, gone. MVP caliber quarterback, gone. Even players like Zach Ertz, Pro Bowler tight end, probably gone. Pro Bowler safety, Malcolm Jenkins, gone. The Eagles have just fallen so far. And I'm sure Colin Cowherd had his fair share of divorce and analogies today. So I'm going to spare the listeners from that. But I think the Eagles Carson Wentz relationship, to me, it was pretty obvious that Carson Wentz wanted out, at least from an Eagles point of view. He didn't want to be an Eagle anymore. And some people are blaming him for that. I don't think you can blame Carson Wentz for wanting to leave because, again, like, no divorce analogies, but he reached his breaking point. The Eagles were willing to get rid of Doug Peterson, who Carson Wentz reportedly did not have the best relationship with, and they were willing to get rid of him and bring in someone who would fit Carson Wentz more. And even then, Carson Wentz was like, you know what? That's not enough for me. I'd rather just leave. And I think there was definitely some sort of, fissure, if you will, or breaking in the relationship. And it was probably with the Jalen Hurts pick back in 2020, the 2020 draft, almost a year ago now, 10 months ago, where they drafted Jalen Hurts. And I think that broke Carson Wentz. And that's when he decided Philly was not the move for me.
Yeah. First of all, as I'm entering into this podcast now, I'm in like the happiest mood. Today was probably the best day as a Colts fan, probably in a long time. It's been a really long time. Been waiting for having a quarterback of this caliber. Obviously, Phillip Rivers was of that caliber. He was an elite quarterback for many years. Obviously, we got him towards the end of his career, and it ended up being his last year playing football. But I cannot believe that the value that we got. And I'm gonna dive right into that. So the Eagles sent Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional second-round pick that can become a first round pick if Carson Wentz plays at or above 75% of the snaps this upcoming season, or if he plays 70% of the snaps this season and the Colts go to the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair condition, by the way, because Carson Wentz has not played a full season in quite some time. Even this past season, he didn't. The year before, he couldn't. Yeah, I mean, the conditions I think are pretty fair here because 75% is roughly the amount of games that he plays in general. So in terms of that part of the condition being a second to a first, that's fine. I'm just surprised initially that the Eagles were definitely having a ludicrous price of two firsts. I mean, they wanted a Matthew Stafford type of package. Clearly, one of quarterbacks had his worst performance in his career, arguably the worst starting quarterback in football, according to many other people. I won't say that, but many people have been deeming that Carson Wentz probably had the worst season of his career, and not just his career, but I think probably one of the worst seasons as an Eagles quarterback. It was not. It was just not up to par of being the Eagles starting quarterback, and as a result, he got benched, and Jalen Hurts was put in. So I'm just surprised also that the Eagles didn't want to name Carson Wentz the QB1 entering into the season. I thought for sure that Nick Sirianni was brought into the Eagles organization to help Carson Wentz rebound. I mean, he was a guy that was part of the Frank Reich system, and I'm pretty sure Howie Roseman thought of Frank Reich when hiring Nick Sirianni, and I thought for sure that that hiring was definitely meant for helping Carson Wentz. And clearly, even before that, apparently Wentz wanted out of Philly. And I apparently also, in recent weeks, it's been announced that Carson Wentz has not been getting along with, has been getting along with actually everyone on the Eagles organization. He's been even talking to Nick Sirianni, just in the conditions that he could possibly be still on the team by for the opening of the season, and he's been in contact with Jeffrey Lurie as well, but the one person he has been completely silent and muted about is Howie Roseman. So my main emphasis on this point, I'm obviously elated to have Carson Wentz as the Colts. I think the Colts have gotten miles better with this player. I think there's obviously some risk there because he is injury prone. He does have some things to fix in his game. But I mean, and obviously the mental aspect is definitely there where he was just scarred by having Nick Foles there behind him, Jalen Hurts behind him, having some quarterback competition. That's not going to be there in Indy. Frank Reich's going to be solely committed to him as quarterback one. And I'm pretty sure we're not even going to be back drafting or picking up a backup quarterback. And if we are, it'll be no competition towards Carson Wentz. But the main emphasis, like I said before, is Howie Roseman. I think I've seen hundreds of posts just today. Everyone that's related to this Eagle, that's a fan of the Eagles organization people, sports analysts have been blaming this all on Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, if he did not sign off to pick Jalen Hurts with a 34th pick, none of this would have happened. Carson Wentz could have still had the season he had this past year, but even if they didn't have Jalen Hurts, he would have still been on the team. That's the point that I was trying to make. And just solely because of that, I think the Eagles are definitely going to miss out on this one, and the impact that Carson Wentz will have on the Colts will be tremendous. And I simply cannot wait for this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think you make a lot of good points, Amal. I just want to talk about the Eagles Carson relationship. And you touched on this a little bit. Ari was talking about a lot too. But I think the fracture in this relationship is almost completely Howie Roseman's fault, with some of the blame obviously on Jeff Lurie. But Howie refused to listen to input from the coaching staff and scouts over the past year or two. He never sought to rectify any injuries in the offensive line or find any receiving help. So most of the damage he actually did was psychological when he drafted Hurts instead of using that second round pick to help build around Carson. And I think the reason Doug and Carson are gone are because of him and their lack of ability to communicate with between management and coaching staff on the future of the starting position of the Eagles. And like you said, We brought in Nick Sirianni to fix Carson Wentz, but Carson's gone. Doug is gone because we didn't want to stick with Hurts. So, all this seems like pointless to me. All of this, you know, miscommunication, which is pretty much a result of no proper planning and no transparency and no uh, mutual respect or trust the coaching staff and the players and the management. It's a huge disconnect, and that's the number one reason why we're not able to win games and move forward with the actual plan. And Howie is the single constant variable. I already told you guys this, but in this entire mess, in the past 4 years, our head coach is gone. Deuce Staley's gone. Jim Schwartz is gone. Carson Wentz is gone. And Howie Roseman is still here. I mean, like, that's pretty obvious that he is the problem, the single biggest problem. It's just embarrassing that he's still here. Jeff Lurie doesn't have the guts to do something about it. I'm pretty sure he's aware that, I mean, this should be a red flag for every owner in the league if you keep your management and all these problems keep arising and people are leaving because of him.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of things. I think probably the key thing there is I feel like we look at players as numbers and, stats and all that. But at the end of the day, you're right, Rahul. They are people, and it's all about relationships. And I mean, you talked about the psychology and how Howie Roseman psychologically scarred Carson Wentz. I think that's a great way of putting it, in all honesty. Like, that's what happened. I don't think Carson Wentz, he got hurt, his ACL. I don't think he's the same physical player as he was in 2017. And I don't think it's a big drop off. He's probably still 90% of the same guy he was, but I think it's all up here in his head. Like, in all honesty, I think it's just all his brain, and it's something he's got to fix. And Howie Roseman could not do that. And I think you said he didn't address weapons and all that. I think he did. I think he did, Rahul. He just addressed them with poor ways of addressing them. Like, he brought in Mike Wallace to be a deep threat, and he played a game and then he couldn't do anything. He drafted Jalen Reagor over star players like T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, Denzel Mims. He drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, somehow he's become like an unknown and almost under the radar because people don't talk about it anymore. But that pick happened. Like, it's just crazy the amount of things that he has done. And I think at some point you can't even blame Howie Roseman. You have to blame Jeffrey Lurie, like you said, because at some point it falls not on management and the GM. It falls on the owner of the team for not making the right decisions. And right now, I don't know if Jeffrey Lurie can be trusted to make the right decisions.
Yeah, well said. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly how I feel about the situation. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie is enabling Howie Roseman to do whatever he wants with this franchise. And I'm just being brutally honest. Yeah, there was only really one team that was interested in Carson Wentz, but I think the price wasn't right, man. I mean, getting a second and a third for Carson Wentz, it just ain't right, man. I
disagree with you there. I think we got I think we got everything what we could have gotten. Like, if you told me we're getting a first round pick,
I agree with that. You definitely can. You definitely got everything you needed, because I'm saying that because you were forced to give that. Because I think at the end of the day, you were forced to take whatever the Colts offered.
Because Carson Wentz was like, I'm done.
He's done with them. He's not really interested in any other team. So whatever the Colts offered, you have to shut up and just take it. So in terms of that aspect, yeah, the Eagles should be happy that, okay, at least we have a chance at getting a first and we get a third. Cool. All right. I'm happy with that compensation, considering we are not having this guy in our organization. But look at the cap hit, Arib. It's the
$34 million dead cap. It's 11 more than the second, which was Jared Goff, I think 3 weeks ago now.
Yep.
It's Jared Goff, I believe, is 23 million. Carson Wentz is 34. So by far the biggest cap hit. And like I said, it's just an organizational failure. I have one quick question for you guys before we go do a deeper dive into this. Do you think Carson Wentz is a quitter? Because I've heard that term being thrown around on Eagles Twitter, and people are like, screw this guy for wanting out. Personally, I kind of touched on it before, but I mean, I could use the divorce analogies, but I just don't want to. But at some point, it's like, you're at a job and you're not being valued by that job the way you think you should be, and you keep having unnecessary pressure put on you. Like you keep like the manager keeps, giving, he keeps hiring guys behind you, putting pressure on you, making you question if you're really the guy. I don't blame Carson Wentz for wanting out. I think I'll be honest. I think even if Carson Wentz stayed with Nick Sirianni, or even if like not if Frank Reich was here, but I think the relationship sort of just played itself out at some point. Like some people are like, it sucks that we had to trade Carson Wentz. And I agree. It sucks that we had to trade Carson Wentz. But at the end of the day, I feel like that this was the only way the Eagles could have really moved forward because Carson was done with the Eagles. And I mean, people could make the argument that the Eagles were done with Carson as well. And they did that by drafting Jalen Hurts. So I don't think Carson Wentz is a quitter by any means, but I think there's, I don't understand the reasoning behind calling him a quitter, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't think there is any reasoning behind calling him a quitter. A lot of times in sports, you just see a lot of players who are, have tremendous pressure to perform, and the organization doesn't help them in any way, and they get labeled a quitter when they're doing everything they can to bite their tongue and show up for their teammates. And we saw Carson do that for Jalen Hurts, and everybody, nobody on the team has anything bad to say about Carson Wentz. I don't think it's Carson being a quitter so much as Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie forcing him out of the organization, and they're spinning it out as like him wanting to leave, when in reality there's no other option.
Yeah, I think once again, I think both of you guys are right. I think at the end of the day, Carson Wentz is not a quitter. I think that's very clear. Just to answer the question, no, he's absolutely not a quitter. Every single week, there was always a question going on whether Jalen Hurts was going to take the starting job. Jalen Hurts is going to take the starting job. Was Jalen Hurts going to take the starting job? Every single week, that same damn question was being asked. And Carson Wentz was fully committed to being that starting quarterback job. Yes, he may not have played to the best of his ability, but by no means did he not like just give up by any means and just said, all right, I'm going to call it quits this season. At the end of the day, he was benched. And even the week he got benched, he says, I still believe I am the quarterback one for this team. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still putting everything that he has on the field. And it was just the weapons that he had and everything that he had to work with was just not there to match whatever effort that he was willing to put in. So by no means you can definitely call Carson Wentz a quitter. Yes, I think Howie Roseman definitely dealt him with this card. And Carson Wentz, he loves the city of Philadelphia. I watched an interview of him just recently that happened around 2 years ago. He loves the city of Philadelphia. He loves that it's the city of brotherly love at the end of the day. And then all these fans love Carson Wentz. They embrace him with open. Even throughout this season, throughout all the struggles, not one person wanted Carson Wentz gone. Yes, he played poorly, but I think I know you guys were like, dude, it would be so stupid to give up on Carson Wentz like this. And in fact, there were people saying that you should trade Jalen Hurts for this because his value is at a high right now. You can get equal compensation or more compensation than what he was drafted for. And like that didn't like, instead they went down the road of trading Carson Wentz because there was a fallout between Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, that fallout was definitely there. And then on top of that, Howie Roseman never got along with Carson Wentz this entire season, and he didn't back the pick. I mean, clearly that was the intention in last April when they picked Jalen Hurts. And in the beginning, even when Jalen Hurts was drafted, they still wanted Carson Wentz to be the quarterback one. Carson Wentz welcomed Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he was begrudgingly saying, okay, yes, I'm happy. But I don't think he was like, I think he had to still work with what he had. He could have just said, I wanted it out done. But he didn't because he wanted to work through it. He may not have had the best season, but he got pressured, unnecessarily pressured by having this quarterback even in. And by perfect example, week 17 in the Washington football team versus the Eagles game, Carson Wentz was ruled inactive for that game, a healthy scratch. He could have played that game. He was forced not to play that game. And it didn't make any sense. They wanted to put the third string quarterback in when the first string quarterback was on the field. They forget the second string. The third string quarterback was on the field to close the game. I mean, it was just a clear sign of disrespect. They were not intending to win the game there. And it's just a sign of mismanagement altogether. And like Rahul said it before, there was Jim Schwartz left, Doug Peterson left. There's a new head coach now. I mean, Doug Peterson, Arib and I entering into the season, he was a top 5 head coach. Carson Wentz entering into the season, we had him as a top 10 quarterback. Maybe we had him like top 8, top 7. The dude was still playing really good football. He had an off year this year, but I mean, he still it's an anomaly year. At the end of the day, you have to accept that, and the Eagles couldn't accept that, and Carson Wentz didn't feel respected. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what happened here. So by no means, to answer this question, should Carson Wentz be labeled as a quitter? It's just ridiculous to even be thinking about that.
Yeah, I think we can go to the next question really. And it's more of looking towards Wentz and why this is good for him. And it also sort of blends into like what the Colts get here from Carson Wentz. Just a quick rundown. Carson Wentz sucked last year. And I think he's definitely going to have to put in some work to improve as a player, work on his mechanics, work on his decision-making. But I think going to Frank Reich's system where he had massive success back in 2017 is only going to help him. He's going from one of the worst offensive lines in football to one of the best, even with Anthony Costanzo, the left tackle of the Colts, retiring this year. I'm sure they're going to address that position in the offseason and probably in the draft, I'd assume. There's lots of good tackles on this draft. So we saw Patrick Mahomes. We've seen players like Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs where they don't have offensive lines. In the Super Bowl, we saw no offensive line for one team, and it dominated. The other team dominated, and they won. And that was Carson Wentz's reality for his 12 starts this year. So I think that's definitely something to look forward to. Wide receivers, he's going to a place where he has Michael Pittman. T.Y. Hilton may or may not resign. I think it's leading towards more of him resigning them all, if I'm correct. And I'm sure having an actual quarterback is going to make him want to stay more than not having a quarterback. So I think he's going to a team with good weapons, with good play calling, like Frank Reich's system. He's not he works more on getting guys open, and he makes it easier for the quarterback than Doug Peterson's system was. And I think it's just I would say it's the perfect fit for Carson Wentz. It's the only place where he could have gone and had reasonable success. He has a great offensive line, great running back, great wide receivers, good defense too, which is how you win games. And on top of that, he has a head coach that, I mean, he literally used to like pray in the morning with Frank Reich before games, before practice. So he has chemistry there. And I think that's important. And it's the perfect match for both sides.
Yeah, I agree with you, Reed. I think this is absolutely great for Carson. I think since he gets one of the best offensive lines in football, and for me, that's the single biggest factor for his success. He doesn't need Pro Bowler receivers or running backs or none of that, and he's got a defense. Frankly, receivers are the last thing I look at when I look at Carson Wentz. All he really needs is a tight end and offensive line, and he plays really good football. And when the line plays ball and when offensive line is healthy, Carson wins games, and we've seen that. Past 2 years, the Eagles have had completely injured offensive lines, and for me, that's the biggest reason why we haven't been winning. So I'm happy for him, and I hope he wins. And I seriously think he could take the Colts to the Super Bowl within the next few years if he returns to how he played in 2017 and he stays healthy. Well, I don't know what you guys think about the Colts playoff and Super Bowl chances.
Yeah, obviously, I can definitely say that Carson Wentz, if he returns to that form, will definitely be having Super Bowl chances. Definitely strong there. And I think Carson Wentz for the Colts, yeah, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman. It's not like very strong names by any means for the wide receivers. And the tight end, they got Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox as their tight ends, Trey Burton. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to be looking for those positions in the offseason, the free agency. They're going to address those needs, I think. So I think that would be great if we can have players like Allen Robinson, but I think he'll probably be tagged Kenny Golladay, Will Fuller, Juju Smith-Schuster. Those guys would be great fits as a wide receiver in the free agency market, or even in the tight end market. I know Zach Ertz most likely is probably going to get cut or traded. I'm probably saying he's leaning towards cut because I believe it's very hard for teams to buy into that contract that he has currently. So I think he's probably potentially going to be on the market. Hunter Henry. So I think at the end of the day, the Colts are going to improve tremendously on the offensive side in terms of weapons. So Carson Wentz will have no problems there. And like Arib said, Frank Reich's system is the perfect fit. And I think this is just a match made in heaven. And I just can't wait, man. I'm just super excited for this upcoming season.
Yeah, so we're running short on our time, but I just want to talk about the last two things on our topic here. First thing, Eagles, Jalen Hurts. Do you think the Eagles should stay with Jalen Hurts? I definitely think they should. I think we saw enough from him early on in his career in his 4 starts where we can have some faith. And I also think the Eagles need to, they have to commit to somebody. And I think trying to give Jalen Hurts weapons early in his career by drafting a Jamar Chase or a Kyle Pitts or a Devontae Smith is the only true way to see if he's going to be a potential starting caliber player, and also giving him a full offseason, which he did not have this year.
Yeah, I think we should stick with Hurts. I mean, it's not ideal, but it beats having to start over again, rebuild again, and draft a new quarterback. I think we should go with the receiver in the 6th overall pick if we're staying with Hurts. Now, my answer would have been different if we kept Carson, but with Hurts, I think we have to go receiver. And, I don't think we can waste any more time. Our offensive line is getting older, our defense is getting older. We have to commit to somebody now.
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I think you gotta stick with Hurts here. Yeah, there's conversations that Eagles might bring in competition for Jalen Hurts, but I think at the end of the day, you still gotta stick with Jalen Hurts. I mean, you picked a quarterback coach literally for Jalen Hurts. That's the dude that's even good friends with family friends with Jalen Hurts. I think that at the end of the day is going to be the final move that the Eagles are going to have, and I hope he's the franchise quarterback because I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts at the end of the day.
Yeah. Finally, and also a quick thing. We literally drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. Like his 2nd round pick, that's high draft capital. You can't move on from that so quickly before even giving a full offseason and a full chance. Also, he's a likable guy, so give him the shot. Finally, Carson Wentz. What is his legacy in Philadelphia? I want to ask Rahul this question firstly, because I think he might be slightly different from me, but take it away, Rahul.
I think Carson's legacy will always be that he set us up for a Super Bowl win, our first Super Bowl win. I mean, he gave us the number 1 seed in the NFC. He put us in the playoffs, and nothing can take that away from him. So I'm thankful for Carson and what he's done not just on the field, but in the locker room too. I think he's contributed to probably the best locker room to play for in the league, and that's part of the reason why we won that Super Bowl. He was an amazing leader. He never gave up. He got injured time and time again for us. And he's just been slandered for it on the media. And most NFL QBs and coaches know how talented he is and capable he is. They know his grit and they know his potential in the league. But the media doesn't like to acknowledge that. But I think we owe a tremendous debt to Carson for what he gave us in 2017 and 2018. And I think I'm just really thankful for him. I don't think we can ever forget what he did. Nothing he does in 2019 is going to change what he did in 2017 for us.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Carson Wentz's legacy should be at the end of the day. He led you guys to the only Super Bowl that you guys have. Yes, Nick Foles got the job done in the playoffs, but he set the benchmark at the end of the day. He led the team to being the number 1 team in the NFC without a doubt. Nick Foles killed it. He carried on what Carson Wentz was going to do at the end of the day. That's what I truly believe. So with or without Wentz, they would have won that Super Bowl. And not going to take any credit away from Nick Foles, but that's how I truly feel with the Carson Wentz legacy. He's a great guy, kept the spirit of the team together, and I think he'll always be remembered as probably he had the greatest season in Eagles quarterback history, and he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest quarterbacks in Eagles history, and he may make the Eagles Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah, for me, same thing as you guys said. He has that Super Bowl, I mean, he's like Rahul said, he set us up for a Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, I think other than that, I think his legacy is going to be overall positive, but it's just going to be a big question mark too at the end of the day. Like, what if, Carson focused more on his mechanics? What if Howie Roseman focused more on building a team around Carson Wentz? What if Doug Peterson and Carson had a better relationship? So like overall, it'll be a good legacy, I feel like. And right now we're in the thick of it. People are going to think it's negative, but I think 10, 15 years from now, it'll be a positive legacy. And we're going to be looking back on this time fondly. But I think there's going to be a lot of question marks going into the future, especially depending on how the Eagles do in the next couple of years. But anything you guys want to say before we head out of here? Or?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to remind us a lot of the McNabb situation. What could have happened, what would have happened if McNabb got through that game. But I think Carson Wentz, we're going to, like 10 years down the road, like you said, is going to be filled with regret, or at least, not Carson Wentz, Eagles fans, filled with regret and agony of what we could have done to help Carson Wentz, seeing the potential he had. And I don't know if we're going to, when the next successful quarterback, Eagles quarterback is going to be, that's just going to make him enshrine even more in Eagles history.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the Eagles fans, yeah, it sucks. But as a Colts fan, I just can't wait, man. It's going to be a happy days here. I expect a great season coming up this, and I just simply can't wait. Now this is surpassed any type of off season. This is probably my favorite off season since Andrew Luck got drafted. So I'm very happy.
I'm happy one of us is happy. But yeah, that was it. Episode 57, emergency Carson Wentz getting traded pod. I think we hit on a lot of good stuff here. It's positive I think it's a win-win-win trade for all three parties involved. But that is it from me. That is it from Rahul and Amal. And thank you for listening. Peace out and bye.